All right, today we are jumping straight into the deep end of Dreamweaver to really get into the weeds on one of its coolest power systems, the seriously powerful and super personal family class of sigils.
Okay, so let's start right here because the source material lays it out perfectly for us. We're not talking about powers you go out and learn on your own. Nope. These are abilities passed down generation to generation. It's literally in their blood. And that right there, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, what's the point of these innate gifts, and how do you push them to their absolute breaking point? Well, we're going to find out by following the insane training regimens of two of the most powerful families in the entire series. But before we get to see all the cool explosions and powers unleashed, we've got to understand the rules of the game. This isn't just random magic, you know? There's a whole science to it with very, very specific mechanics. So this is the core concept you have to grasp. Hereditary bloodline limits. Just think of it like a natural inheritance, right? You're born with a specific elemental affinity, and that gives you some major advantages in certain situations, but also some really critical weaknesses in others. It's the strategic foundation for literally every dream. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because this shows that power isn't just about what you're born with. You've got the hereditary limits, these inborn traits, like the Nightbane family has members with 2 hearts, but you can also develop acquired limits through sheer willpower and experience. It's that classic nature versus nurture debate, just playing out on a wild metaphysical battlefield. All right, enough with the theory. Let's see this stuff in action with our first case study, the Nightbane family. Their entire power is built around this incredible, almost unbelievable level of mental and spiritual connection. So their family sigil is called the Pyrostellus Luminares, and it is just wild. Imagine a psychic network, a family-wide Wi-Fi that lets them all operate as one single unit. They can share thoughts, combat skills, everything, all in real time. And just look at how deep this connection goes. They can literally transfer a master swordsman's reflexes to a total beginner, instantly. They balance their spiritual energy so no one person gets overwhelmed. They can even bypass the brain's natural safety switches. This isn't just good teamwork, folks. It's a shared consciousness. But of course, there's a catch. For this whole shared mind thing to actually work, they need what's called psychological compatibility. And this analogy from the source just nails it. If you're all in sync, it's like swimming with the river's current. It's smooth, powerful, effortless. But if you're not, you're fighting that current the whole way, and you're gonna burn out fast. So how in the world do they share a skill so perfectly? Well, it's through a metaphysical process called neuron bonding. This visualizes it so well. For a normal person, you practice something over and over until it becomes muscle memory, a reflex. Well, the Nightbane sigil can basically copy and paste that mastery stage from one brain to another, creating those instinctual pathways in a flash. Okay, but that's all theory. It's time to see how this all holds up when things get real. Because the Nightbane's training is about to get a very, very rude interruption from a terrifying enemy, putting their whole philosophy of unity to the ultimate test. And the tension here just ramps up so fast. It all starts with that creepy, eerie silence in the forest. You know, when all the animals just disappear. Then a single wraith appears. Bad news. But then an entire army of giga-wraiths, led by the Weaver of Calamity herself, shows up. Their only move, link their minds and fight as one. But this is where their greatest strength could easily become their biggest weakness. As they link up, they're hit with a potential psychological strain of 43%. That's the cost of swimming against the current. If they can't balance their spiritual energy perfectly, the whole psychic network could just shatter. And the result is, well, it's absolute devastation. San Nightbane, channeling the perfectly harmonized power of his entire family, unleashes this one single coordinated attack. It's everything their unity stands for, and it is so powerful that it completely vaporizes the enemy army in a single breathtaking instant. Now let's switch gears completely. For a fantastic contrast, we're pivoting from the Nightbane's collective hive mind to the Pendragana Kenya family. Here, the focus shifts dramatically to the power of individual perception and personal mastery. At the center of this family's power is Concordia Kenya and her sigil Kraken Andromeda. And what's so cool about it is its dual nature. It's a mashup of 2 totally different family philosophies, her father's brute force ideal and her mother's precision ideal. The result is a power that's both massively destructive and incredibly surgical. So, instead of sharing a mind, Concordia's training is all about expanding her own senses. This table breaks down the different types of extrasensory perception she has to master. And it's not just about seeing better, it's about understanding the entire battlefield on a fundamental, elemental level, like sensing movement through magnetic fields or seeing things that are hidden to the naked eye. And look, mastering perception is really just step one. For Concordia, the end goal, the whole point, is to achieve total battlefield control, to literally turn the environment itself into a weapon. I love how this slide frames zone control. It's basically a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. You can be offensive, like a pathogen, sneaking into enemy territory and corrupting it from the inside out, or you can be defensive, the native, using that hyperperception to spot and eliminate any intruder the second they cross into your domain. And here's how you actually apply it in a fight. Field enhancement is where you change the battlefield to give your friends a boost. Add a little wind to help out a fire user's attack. Field capture is the exact opposite. You flood the area with elements that neutralize your opponent, like using water against fire, and just shut them down completely. So all of this intense training, all this theory, it all comes down to the final exam. A crazy high-stakes duel where Concordia has to fight her own mother to prove that she has finally achieved true mastery. And let me tell you, her mother does not pull any punches. She unleashes her ultimate technique. We're talking about a literal solar death ray firing down from the sky. It presents Concordia with a problem that looks for all the world completely and totally impossible to solve. But this is where all that training in perception and analysis pays off. She doesn't panic, she thinks. She brilliantly connects this high-tech energy attack to the ancient myth of Medusa's Gorgon's gaze, remembers how Perseus beat it, and then uses that legend to invent a brand new combat technique right there on the spot. And boom, we get this incredible triumphant moment. Concordia creates the mirror array of Perseus's shield. It's the perfect counter, and it wasn't born from some shared family power. It came from her own intellect, her perception, her creativity, and it just perfectly sums up the two philosophies, right? The Nightbane find power through the unity of a shared mind. The Kenya find it through sharpened individual genius, which really makes you wonder, in the end, which path leads to true ultimate power?